Keith, thank you. And as Barack Obama prepares to make this big speech at Mile High Stadium, there is the possible scenario that John McCain's running mate will be leaked out tomorrow. According to the Politico, they are reporting that John McCain has selected his running mate, that they will likely campaign together. This announcement will be made on Friday morning. Rachel, what do you make of it?
Well, if they allow it to leak deliberately, it's slightly low road, right? But I do find it incredible that the official announcement is going to come on Friday. Friday is the anniversary of Katrina making landfall in New Orleans. And when Katrina made landfall in New Orleans, where was John McCain? He was standing on an airport tarmac with President Bush cutting into his own Happy John McCain birthday cake. That's where he was when Katrina made landfall. John McCain went on to vote against the investigation of the government's response to Katrina. John McCain, when Congress was considering how to respond to it, he cautioned Congress against overreacting. And now we've got Hurricane Gustav churning off the coast, potentially with the beat on New Orleans again. And the regional levee director in New Orleans says, well, we've gotten some stuff done in the levees. We think we could withstand a 30-year storm. Hurricane Katrina was a 396-year storm. We haven't done it. We haven't fixed it. Katrina is the strongest symbol in this country of how bad Republicans have been at governing, other than Jack Abramoff's prison uniform.
Given what Rachel just laid out as the perfect storm brewing,
well, it's a storm that could have political impact. I mean, look, no one can root for Gustav. I covered Katrina, and the devastation that it wrought in New Orleans was just horrible. I ran into Mayor Ray Nagin today at the Pepsi Center, and he was very concerned about the possibility of another flood and questioning, you know, what has the Army Corps of Engineers done to prevent another disaster like the one we saw, and will the government respond, if it has to respond, in a way that's you know, in any way more professional and more life-saving than it did the first time.
Pat, how does that not then seep into the coverage about competence? Because that's ultimately what about the George Bush administration that many people challenged with Katrina and not only the Iraq War, but then whether John McCain has the competence to be commander-in-chief.
I really don't think it affects John McCain. I mean, certainly Katrina will be a big reminder of the Bush administration, its greatest domestic failure. But you asked about the vice president, did you not? I think that what's happened is...
Yeah, but Rachel brought up the other
stuff. I know. Right, we'll do the hurricane later for you, Rachel. Look, but here's the thing. The Biden selection, I think, should point, to me, more to a Romney thing, because Biden helps in those collar counties, moves Pennsylvania out of reach, and you could counter that if you could pick up Michigan. And also, Biden will be excellent in debate on foreign policy.
Absolutely.
And I've been a fan of Sarah Palin in Alaska, but I think she's just too young and too inexperienced to put into a contest there, whereas Mitt has done a great job. However, I do hear this. I hear that McCain's leaning toward Pawlenty for personal reasons of the two, and that a lot of people are pushing. I think the Bushes are pushing for Mitt Romney. Now, let me give my personal preference. I like Mitt. I just met him today over at Morning Joe. We had a great time. My sister worked for him. I think he would be the better choice. I like the guy personally, but I think it's really a toss-up right now. It won't be Lieberman. If it's Lieberman, I'll be going to the convention early for other purposes.
You know, I've always thought that Romney was the best choice for McCain from his point of view, and I think that's the most likely choice.
Imagine picking the man who was governor of Minnesota during the Minneapolis bridge collapse on the date that is the anniversary of Katrina making landfall in New Orleans, and making that the case for the American people.
He's responsible for a bridge collapse?
No, but Pat,
you got to be kidding. This is kooky.
Picking the anniversaries and saying I want it all to happen again, but you've got to acknowledge the symbolic power of choosing that date, that setting, and that guy.
You're telling me the date a bridge collapsed on a federal highway is, you know, something nationally important? That's preposterous.
Yes.
It may be here. I agree.
I don't know. I mean, you talked earlier about how important it is politically to divide Americans. I think that Americans right now, that it's not necessarily driving a wedge between different parts of America and calling one side bad, one side good. I think what's politically salient right now is recognizing how mad Americans are about the fact that our infrastructure is third world rate and declining. That nobody's ever been held accountable for the war. The country's unified around this stuff. It's a question of which political party will be smart enough to capitalize on it.
But Eugene, is Governor Pawlenty responsible for that?
Well, No, he's not responsible for the bridge. He, however, happens to be a Republican, and the Republican administration, I think, can rightly be blamed for the deterioration, a lot of deterioration of infrastructure, or at least the failure to fix it, and for the inadequate and shameful response to Katrina, and we're talking about the anniversary of Katrina, not of the bridge collapse. You know, look, here's my question. Mitt Romney, I think he's by far the better campaigner. I think he'd be but I don't think he gets you Michigan. I don't think he gets Michigan.
I mean, you're right.
Well,
I don't think he could automatically
His father was governor a long time ago, and the Romney name doesn't have what it used to have.
What I heard from Republicans today is that it's down to Pawlenty and Ridge. Well, listen, John McCain has supposedly already made his choice, but those were the final two candidates. What about that, a Governor Ridge who has more appeal to perhaps more Americans because he's an independent, probably to some of maybe those Hillary Clinton supporters who say that they don't trust Barack Obama?
Ridge would be a automatic choice if he were not pro-choice, but he's going to have trouble he's got trouble with the Catholic clergy up there, and then you got to take the evangelicals. What do they think of a Catholic who is pro-choice? And so this has always been the problem. I agree, if he were pro-life,
those same
Ridge
evangelicals
would be in like Flynn,
But those same evangelicals also have some issues with Mitt Romney.
Well, you know, they do because of the Mormonism, yeah, but I mean, I basically think they will go along with Mitt Romney if Barack Obama is the alternative. I do think he doesn't give you Michigan, no, not automatically, but it gives you a little bit of a claim on a state because there's a lot of Democratic problems up there in the city of Detroit that Rachel can tell us about because her friends up there got a little social problem, don't they?
Well, we have got a fascinating...
Are you talking about Kwame Kilpatrick?
And your state economy, the complete scandalous mess in Detroit? That gives Republicans more of a reach in there than they got in some other states.
If you think that's my social problem.
If you think Detroit's about to become a Republican city, it's time to take a break.
All right, we are getting set up for a fascinating day tomorrow, not only because Barack Obama, but because John McCain has apparently made his decision about who is vice president. That person will be informed tomorrow.
What's your guess? Come on, put it on the line here, Nora.
You know, I'm still a reporter, you know, not a commentator. I just reported earlier. I heard that it's down to Pawlenty and Ridge. That's what I was told
today.
If
you had to bet, who would you say?
Let me remind you what I reminded you last night. I lead the panel, Pat. I ask the questions.
Boss lady.
We'll have a group hug in a minute.
And I'm getting the wrap. And with that, Keith, I'm sending it up to you, buddy.
Boy, oh boy, Rachel's a bad influence on you, Nora, I gotta say. Thanks, Nora. Thanks, Rachel. Thanks, Pat. Thanks, Gene.